And we can also like to ask the appointed officials, secretaries of the cabinet, the governor's cabinet, people that are here as well. If you can, elected officials, y'all come forward, sit up in the front, please. Maurice, elected officials here. We ask the Lieutenant Governor, the Governor's Chief of Staff, and the Governor's Cabinet to sit as well. We have some additional chairs as well. If we can, we have some additional chairs on this end. Steve? You there? Or whatever. Wherever you come. Paul. Thank everybody for coming this morning. This program is not going to be a technical presentation as we advertise. We've been in this situation for a year, so this program is going to be about hearing from the residents and asking the elected officials, appointed officials from the various agencies, the local, state, and federal government here to make sure that we can recommit and be here for the long haul. What I'd like to do is we'd like to start off in prayer. We have some local clergy here, and we're going to end in prayer. So we'd like to go forward. And I think we have, is it Father Paul?
No, Father Andrew.
Father Andrew. He's been with us on several other meetings, and he's made quite a few of the meetings that we've had here. And we want to thank you for being here for the community, and we appreciate all that you've done. And we'd like to ask you to start leading us in the prayer.
Good morning, everyone. No, none of us wish we were here. None of us wish any of this has ever happened. But we come together, and we do so in the beginning by asking God's grace to come among us. And in our prayer, I'm going to read from the 43rd chapter of the prophet Isaiah. And the context of this passage is that the Israelite people have been defeated. They have been exiled from their homeland, from the promised land that God has given them. And they are away. They've been away for a while. They don't have their own government. They don't have their own homes. They don't have their own food. They don't have any of these things. So in a very much similar situation to those who are exiled from your own homes, your own community. And in the midst of that exile, God promises that He will be with them. That He will constantly be with them, encourage them, support them, strengthen them. And that ultimately salvation and a Savior will come. Does it come exactly like they would plan it or want it? No, we know Christ comes. And how does He come? He enters into our suffering. He enters into our exile. But He ultimately redeems it. And He sets us free. And so we pray that however this goes forward, that we will trust definitively in God and believe and know that He is with us. So let us begin in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, you remind us in your word that you are not a God who leaves us alone or orphaned in the midst of our suffering. But you come with us. You suffer with us. And in doing so, make suffering a gateway, Lord, to the resurrection and new life. And so we offer you the residents, the community of Bayou Corne, the Sinkhole situation, our elected officials. May we all sit at your feet that you will give divine wisdom that you will teach us day by day with the light of faith to make the decisions that need best. We pray for protection, for resolution, for resurrection. And so, Lord, you tell us, as you told Israel of old, but now, says the Lord, who created you, O Jacob, and formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, you are mine. When you pass through the water, I will be with you. In the rivers, you shall not drown. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned. The flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, your Savior. Because you are precious in my eyes and glorious, and because I love you. Fear not, for I am with you. So, Lord, today we make that statement of faith. When we struggle in faith, when we doubt, let us remember and let us believe that you are with us. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father. I'd like to recognize the elected officials that are appointed officials that are here with us today and appreciate them taking time out of their schedule to be with us. We'll recognize them now, then they can speak at the end of the process if they like. Karen Saint-Germain, our state representative, is here. We have Henry Dupree, our vice president, Assumption Parish Police Jury. We have Kevin Davis, who's the governor's head of Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Pat Lawless, Assumption Parish Police Juror. Jeff Narcan, Assumption Parish Police Juror. We have our Sheriff Mike Wagersbach. We have our Assessor Wayne Cat Blanchard. We have our Lieutenant Governor Jay Darden. We thank him for traveling from Baton Rouge to be with us today. We have Donna Booty, our Justice of the Peace. Calvin James, Assumption Parish Police Juror. We have our State Representative Joe Harrison. Darlene Landry, our Clerk of Court. We have Kathleen Berthelot, staff member with Senator Mary Landrieu's office. Maurice Southall, our local constable. Brian McNabb, staff member with Congressman Cassidy's office, is here as well. We have our district attorney, Ricky Babin. Thank Ricky for being here. Booster Bro, a police jury member. We thank him for, and Myron Mathern, police jury member. We have the governor's chief of staff, Paul Rainwater, here with us, and we thank him for being here. Secretary Peggy Hatch, DEQ. Secretary Sherry Lobato, DOTD, and we know Steve Schutz, Secretary of DNR, is with us. We appreciate that. We have Tim Barfield, and also with the governor's cabinet as well. So we thank you all for being here. And what I anticipate today is we're going to have a brief little slideshow, just a kind of an update for all the people here, and then we're going to hear from you. And we're going to ask you to give some testimonial to the elected and appointed and state officials here, so we can see where we've been. It's been a year. And John, can we start with the presentation? This is just an update. It's not a scientific presentation, but this is what we're dealing with. Timing of the events, the bubbling was reported back in May 30th of 2012. Seismic activity started June 8th of 2012. June 16th, additional bubble sites identified. June 18th, we had a state of emergency declared. July 3rd and 4th, tremors felt at Texas Brine. The big date in all of this, ladies and gentlemen, when things came to light, was August 3rd of 2012. Just over a year ago, a sinkhole was discovered at the Texas Brine facility. On that day, that afternoon, the parish ordered a mandatory evacuation of the area due to the uncertainty of the sinkhole, as well as the bubbling and escaping of natural gas into the community. Mid-September, Oxycarbon 3 was re-entered, and it was determined by the science committee that it had failed. There was a sidewall failure that was causing the sinkhole and all of the reported gas bubbling and escaping into the lower aquifer. 478 days have passed since the bubbling was reported. 406 days have passed since the sinkhole was discovered, and the mandatory evacuation has been ordered. This was August 3rd, 2012. This was when the sinkhole was formed. This is what it looked like the first day. It looked like a slurry, and then the mandatory evacuation was ordered. This is where we're at today. And to show the importance of it is, if you look from the northern side of the sinkhole It's 950 feet from Highway 70. Highway 70, for those state and federal officials that are here, Highway 70 is the main thoroughfare through the Pierpont, Bell River communities, and is basically a very, very important economic impact region for everything on the eastern side of the Atchafalaya Basin. If Highway 70 fails, it will have a very, very significant impact, not only to those residents in that area, but the region. So that's important. As you can see also, with 1,550 feet, this sinkhole, which is at depths of 400 and some odd feet, is 1,550 feet from some of these residents that are in that area. But a major focus as well, because we're not only talking about residents, we're talking about environment. If you look at the southern end of the sinkhole, which is on the bottom of the slide, you're 500 feet from Bayou Corne. That bayou is a direct tributary into Lake Barrett, which is the Lake Barrett Basin, which if you can get to the Atchafalaya, you can get to Morgan City and Lake Pellew and everything else. So if contaminants ever get out of that sinkhole into Bayou Corne, we are looking at a significant potential impact for South Louisiana. Not only for Assumption Parish, but then we will have this place filled up with people from St. Mary Parish, St. Martin Parish, and all the other surrounding parishes. So this is to identify the significance of what we are dealing with. This is not a scare tactic. This is real life. This is what's happening. And the whole focus of this meeting is that we as elected officials and appointed officials, we've got to commit and recommit, because on many times we get tired or we have other jobs, duties, and responsibilities that call us away. But we have to understand that this is a primary, a very, very important thing, not only for the residents, for the community and the parish. When we originally met, we had Dr. Kumar and other persons with individuals, that these were the original predictions. The original prediction of the size of the sinkhole were made based upon the volume of the cavern that it filled. The original prediction was about 734 feet in diameter. That was the original prediction. The prediction, the worst case scenario was 1,398 feet. The early meetings would say, well, look, 734 feet. Worst case scenario, can't get any bigger than this, was 1,398 feet. The volume of what we're dealing with today, because it's an elongated and it comes further south, the volume is equal to the worst case size scenario. So we are at what was predicted to be the worst case, not what we think is going to happen. You know, what we heard was more likely than not, this will occur. But worst case scenario, this might be the worst case scenario. We are at worst case scenario now. Now, this is just to give it some dramatic effect, is that with it at worst case scenario now, this is something that occurred just a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Boudreaux. All right. Many of you saw it on YouTube, many of you saw it on the news. The issue now is that we're at worst case scenario predictions, and this is still occurring. Most recently, several weeks ago, and there was another slough in of 50 by 75 just this last week or so. So this thing is still evolving. Even at worst case predictions, we're still evolving. We're still having an evolving and basically a live sinkhole. So what we're here today is to try to recommit the efforts of local, state, and federal government to try to do what we can to not only assist the residents, but assist the environment and protect, the parish that we love. So what we'll do now is that we'll turn the lights back on. We'll have some comment, and those that want to speak, we're here. And then we'll ask for any comment from the elected officials that want to respond, and then we'll close in prayer. Yes, ma'am.
Does that make you feel safe, that picture we just saw?
Me?
Yeah.
No, ma'am. It's very troubling.
How about all of them?
Very, very troubling. So what we'll do is, we agree. Mike Shaft, is one of the first ones that signed up. We have several people that requested to speak, and we're asking them to come in and speak. And what I'll do is I'll turn the podium around so you can come with your comments.
Thank you, Marty, for assembling us all here today and recommitting us, to the situation at hand.
And you all here in the back?
Gentlemen, ladies, it's been 13 months. 13 months of misery. 13 months of exile. 13 months of residence against Texas pride, lies, stubbornness. 13 months of residence listening to state agencies minimalizing this situation. 13 months of Texas pride's total disrespect of our community. And yes, regrettably, 13 months of neighbor against neighbor. Those of us who wish to stay, who are staying versus those of us who never come back and question the sanity of those who stay. 13 months of emotional scars that will never heal. 13 months of pure unadulterated hell. We've been resilient for these past 13 months. We've been on the fire line each and every day. There have been heroes who emerged from this, and there have been villains. Far too many villains. We all know who the heroes are. They're well known, so no need to mention them again. But at the top of the list of my heroes are those evacuees and the residents of Bayou Corne. The ones who had to pick up their lives on a moment's notice and transport them into alien territory. The ones who had to move on a moment's notice with nothing but their family and the clothes on their backs. And wait until they felt it was safe enough to come back and get other necessities. The ones who had tried to explain to their children that they may never be able to return to the only home they knew. The ones who had to listen to these same children cry themselves to sleep, wanting to know why they could never go back home. The ones who, despite major illnesses, have managed to survive in cramped quarters of a camper, with no help whatsoever from either the state or Texas Prime, except for the money that they were forced to pay the residents due to contractual obligations. The ones who stayed in their home because they have too much invested in dollars and sweat and years, and are too old and worn out to move again, are too proud to burden their families with their everyday presence because they know how honored they become in their golden years. The ones who decided that if their lives must end, then they let it be in a place that they so love. These are the heroes that I applaud. These are the ones whom I can be proud. It's time for you to make us proud. It's time for you, Mr. Darden, Mr. Rainwater, to go back and talk to our governor and ask us to do these things for us. We need to stop the solution mining at this site. It's just weakening assault dome that's already weakened, and there's other cabins next to it that are in danger of failing. They may not be in danger of failing today, but it's not helping the situation. We need to call in federal assistance. We need to get fresh eyes on this. We need to get fresh brains in this. It's been 13 months, and all we've had is experiment after experiment. We've had 3D seismic. We've had MIHPT. We've had CPT. We've had helicopters flying over with magnetometers. That didn't work. Then another one with a different kind of magnetometer. It's endless. You're going to hear some more tonight about another one. They got some more initials, something about dual suction vacuum, something or another. They claim that's going to be done. We'll get rid of the gas in 3 weeks, so hopefully it will. I hope it does. I'd like to know why it wasn't tried before. We You need to get DHH back out here to assess the mental and emotional health of our residents, as well as the long-term physical and mental effects. We need to get involved with the legislative process. We've had Ms. Garrett St. Germain, Mr. Harrison, Senator Rick Ward, Senator Troy Brown, our representatives out there doing their best to try to get this thing resolved, get stronger laws enforced. Senator St. Germain's bill started out with a lot of teeth in it, but it had to be watered down. 100% of the senators and representatives voted for this, and the governor signed it. If that many people sign that bill, then something's wrong. It doesn't have teeth in it. If the lobbyists weren't bitching and moaning about it, then something's wrong. We need to get involved in the legislative process. Or else 10 years down the road, we're going to be looking at the exact same thing in another community. You need to introduce yourself to Senator Mills and see if you can support his Senate Bill 200. Or else you'll be having the same problem that we're having. This is not a local problem. This disease is spread statewide. And as many years in development, it's not the fault of your regime or the regime before you. It's the fault of an attitude on the state officials throughout the years. That attitude needs to be changed. Marty said it's a time for recommitment. It's a time for recommitment of our attitude. It's time to commit ourselves to our environment. We love industry, but we need to have a safe environment. We need to do what we can. Okay? You'll be hearing back from us. We won't disappear. We'll be back on the steps of the state capitol and the legislature this year, and we want to be there to shake your hand, Lieutenant Governor. We want to say thank you for being here. We don't want to be there to fight you. We want to be there to congratulate you on the things that you have done. And the rest of you, members of the legislature, and the rest of you local officials, thank you very much.
Very well said. This time, Candy Blanchard.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I would really love for you to listen very closely to what I have to say today. I want to talk about, first of all, the human element of Bayou Corne, which has been torn apart in a very ugly way. Months ago, neighbors were needing to talk. We needed to talk. We wanted information. We wanted to share what we knew. We needed to know that our neighbors were feeling the same way that we were feeling to be out of our house and what it felt like to be in a strange place, in a place we didn't want to be, what it felt like to not be in control of your own life. No company, no state agency, nobody reached out to us to say, let's form a support group. Let's give you an arbitrator to help you work with Texas Brown. We didn't have many meetings. The meetings tapered off for whatever reason. When we did have meetings, we were given very contradictory information. The blog was sporadic at times, but has gotten much better. So we formed our own very unofficial support group where we could sit and just talk. This is not the Bayou Corne sinkhole. This is not the Bayou Corne sinkhole. This is the Texas brine mining disaster. A mining disaster. This is not like Florida. This is a mining disaster. And this corporation has been using military strategies on our community. Divide and conquer. Let me tell you what they've done. It's been one side of the highway versus another side. Leaving versus staying. Private emails saying that citizens that are leaving don't care about their place. That's a lie. And since Father is in the building, I won't say what kind of law. Referring to others as having substandard housing. We all know, I don't care if you live in a box, a trailer, or a beautiful mansion. It is your home. So, divide and conquer. Guess what? They have puppets. It's working. The longevity of this. Yes, you can win the battle if you wear out the people. 1 year and 1 month, that's a long time. Stuck. Can't plan your future. Living somewhere you don't want to be. People are afraid to talk to each other because they're being judged by others. I don't judge anybody that wants to stay, but I don't want to be judged because I want to leave. I loved my place. These are the things that we've had to do for ourselves, and it shouldn't be this way. We had to do this to help, to survive, to understand what was happening to us, to protect ourselves, because there is a big human element. The company keeps saying their first priority is to manage this sinkhole in the cavern. Well, guess what? We're human beings. We're stuck. No life. When we started this unofficial support group, people came, and people still will talk one-on-one. If y'all want to talk to people, they'll talk. They're embarrassed to tell you they need mental health services. They're embarrassed to tell you that they're fighting with their spouse and they don't know what to do or where to go. What we did for ourselves is we set up this support group. We went to the Capitol. We pleaded for help. We set up a community contact email and phone list, so if any of you want that, it is available. We had to seek out a voice for us, somebody that important people were going to listen to. Just on a whim, somebody said, what about General Honoré? We laughed. He would never want, well, he did. He's not elected, many of you are, and he did. He's not afraid. He speaks to anybody on this subject, anywhere, anybody that'll listen. We want more of you to do that, to speak out. We've helped neighbors search for solutions to their housing problems. Living in trailers when people are disabled is not something that is easy to do. We've had to become community and environmental watchdogs. Again, those of us that left do care. We care what happens to Bayou Corne. We love the place. We love this state. And I grant you that my husband and I have been in those bayous more than many people. We also had to do something. You know, it was funny, when the year mark got there, we were all very emotional, feeling something we didn't even realize we were going through. We had to put together our own year commemoration. How sad is that? It didn't sneak up on us. A year is 365 days. It doesn't sneak up on you. So we did that for ourselves. Then we developed a list of grievances. Mr. Raymore, I know you received these grievances. Where's our response? Here's a hard copy. I can sit with you and I can compile it. We can talk about it. I know it's lengthy. Where is our response to that? We believe in our democracy, and we firmly believe that it should work for the citizens, not just the companies that operate in our state. This has been sent to the governor's office months ago. I would like to know why Governor Jindal can go on a talk show, on a late night talk show, but he can't come here. That baffles me as a citizen. It baffles me. Why isn't he here? We still need some things. We need an emergency notification system and a plan. When my husband goes to cut the grass, or I'm there tending to something, we need to know what to do, where to go. If something happens here, where do we go? Where do we go there? People still live there. They need to be safe. And you guys need to teach us what to do, where to go, and how to be prepared. I am a teacher. If a code red is called and I don't teach my children what to do in that situation, we are all vulnerable. We need health monitoring. We need mental health services. And Highway 70, Lord, that plan needs to be expedited. Once it happens, it's too late. And please, Mr. Schutz, please, in your wording, when you respond to something like those trees, don't make it seem like it's a little thing. I know you were trying to put people at ease. It's no additional danger, but Mr. Boudreaux was in danger. I mean, Mr. Boudreaux, you were in danger. I'm glad you were there, but I was scared for you. And I'm glad you're brave. But let's not minimalize this. Let's get the help we need. And the last thing I want to say is the citizens of Louisiana vote for our officials. The people from that company do not vote for any of you. We expect more as citizens, and we deserve more as citizens. I'm sure there are other companies that can step in to the brine production if they have to leave for some reason or another. I'm sure they can be replaced. We need the petrochemical companies. We need the product, the brine product, but we only need responsible people. We don't need the nation looking down on us. Yep, that's the dumping ground. Yep. And if we can't get it done, why aren't we calling for help? And that is really my question. Why aren't we asking for help if we can't get it done? Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. At this time, I think Sterling Leonard signed to speak.
To everyone here, all our officials and all, I don't have anything prepared. It's been 13 months. I know most of you know who I am. My wife and I have been here in Bayou Corne, living in Bayou Corne now for 17 years. We spent a lot of time in the water. I was born and raised on the Plea. Honestly, could not do without the Plea. I agree with everything that was said so far this morning. I think everybody's done what they could, but I think there's more that can be done. But I think the major thing right now is the division between the community. It has been and probably will be for a while. I want everybody to recognize, and like Candy just said, those that left and those that are staying are the same. We all feel the same way. Some of us who are used to the oil industry, the gas industry, are probably not quite as scared as others. Or I won't say scared, just worried more. Myself and my wife have been there. We left for a few days, we came back. It hasn't been easy, but we feel as though the risk that we're taking staying is the same as if we would leave. Yet if we leave, we have no home. Well, I just want everybody to know that we need to all stick together. There's been a lot of damage done. Bayou Corne is not lost. A lot of people have said it's gone, it's finished. It's not finished. I agree it's damaged. But I also agree that something needs to be done to repair the relationship between the community also. And I just ask ask all of you, all the politicians, stick with us, help us out, and remember, for those that want to go, we understand, I understand, I think everybody does. But please understand that there are still some of us who do not want to leave. It is our home. We'll probably stay there till the last drop of blood. So I ask that y'all do everything y'all can.
Thank you, sir. Dennis Landry. Dennis.
Good morning. Thank y'all for coming. My wife told me to be brief. That's hard for me to do. As a homeowner and a resident, and as a business owner in the community, one of the main thoughts I want to share with all the public officials here today, the media, the world, and the companies that are involved in this response, is that some of us are still at Bayou Corne. A lot of people have left, a lot of people have evacuated, and I understand that. But I just want you as public officials, when you make your decisions down the road, that you're cognizant of the fact and you realize all these decisions are affecting many people who want to continue making their home at Bayou Corne. It's such a beautiful place, we don't want to leave. We have not evacuated. We have no plans to evacuate. Not everybody is leaving. Paradise, as my friend and neighbor Sterling Lennis just said, our Bayou Paradise is not lost. Not yet. Now, if you go to the sinkhole and you look at the hole, that piece of our paradise is gone. But right on the outside of that berm, the swamp is still lush and green and full of life. Alligators, fish, birds, everything. If you go down Bayou Corne and Grand Bayou, there are gas bubbling sites that are concerning. However, the natural beauty of the area is still there. Paradise is not lost. So my emphasis to you is, let's focus in on what I have written on my shirt here, save our paradise. Let's focus in on saving Bayou Corne. Let's not give up. It can be saved. I feel there will always be a community at Bayou Corne, a place where people want to live in harmony and peace and the beauty of nature. So I promised my wife and everybody else I'd be brief. Save our paradise. Don't give up on Bayou Corne. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dennis. Next on the list to speak is Bob Deaton.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. Unlike all the other people that have spoken to you up till now, I have not lived my whole life in Louisiana, but I moved here 40 years ago, and I call Louisiana my home. Soon after I moved here, I was attracted to this area because of friends who came from Assumption Parish, and because of my love of fishing in the outdoors in the Atchafalaya Basin and in Lake Verret. I retired 7 years ago, and I built my home on Sportsman's Drive on Bayou Corne, about midway between the last two speakers. And I have never left. I don't plan to leave. And as a retired engineer who's done his best to try to keep up with the evolving situation with the sinkhole, I don't feel that I am in any imminent danger by electing to remain in my home. So I just want to leave you with that thought. One last thing I would like to do is to extend my thanks, number one, to the Assumption Parish officials who have helped us over the last year plus live with this situation, and also with the state agencies that have, with their greater resources, tried to support the parish officials, also the contractors, particularly CB&I, who have supported these state agencies. And last but not least, I want to acknowledge the contribution of Texas Brine. Although they have clearly damaged me and my neighbors grievously, I believe that they are trying, together with their contractors, to help mitigate this problem. I hope that all parties will continue to do so, and I thank you for taking the time to listen.
Next on the list is Carla Alamon.
Hello everyone, and thank y'all for coming. My name is Carla Alamon, and I will not be repeating my crybaby self of my personal story. I've cried enough in public. Instead, I would like to ask questions. My first question is for all the officials who are supposed to represent us, the people of Bayou Corne, and the people of Louisiana, the people we elected. My question is, what have you personally done to help us? Not legislature for the future, although we appreciate that, but the question remains, what have you personally done to help us? When you get your chance at the podium, please tell us that. My second question is for our governor. In March, more than 6 months ago, while pounding on the podium in Bayou Corne, you told us you would hold Texas Brine's feet to the fire. Mr. Governor, if you were really holding their feet to the fire, they would be burnt by now. But instead, they are not even singed. So again, I ask you, what have you done for us? Next, I would like to ask DEQ, DNR, OEP, DHH, DOTD, EPA, and BRC, the Bayou Corne alphabet soup. Without all the agencies involved, why is it that the initials TB, Texas Brine, still rises to the top and are calling the shots? My last question will require a little imagination. Imagine you worked hard all your life. You saved all your life. Yeah, they still have people like that in the world. Work hard and save. And you took everything you worked for, all your savings, and you put it in a box. And one day, they didn't even have to come at night. They came during the middle of the day, and somebody took your box. We all knew who took your box, but nobody would help you get your box back. You begged, you pleaded, you cried. You asked everyone you knew, please help me get my box back. No one will help you. So my question is, imagine that and think how you would feel. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Nick Romero.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In the community of Bayou Corne. We have lived through the concerns wanting DNR, Texas Brine, Shaw, and CBI to find ways to fix the sinkhole, the tremors, and the gas and oil that was coming up. After 2 months, it was obvious that there was no quick fix. Finally, Texas Brine began talking buyout after being urged through many, many town meetings and town halls. You know, they through this talk of buyout, gave hope to many of the people here. It was a chance, maybe a a chance to start your life again. We went through the paper mediation, went through mediation with retired attorneys. We got an extension from the federal judge to continue the negotiations. And through all of that, there's 62 or 63 people that settled. They settled at the end of July. But a month and a half later, they're still going through the closing process. Those people have not all closed yet. They have not gotten their money. As Marty and them indicated, we are now 406 days into a mandatory evacuation. Is this a Guinness Book record? Is that what we're going for? Or is it, how many days can we punish these people? And how long can they stand it? The sinkhole continues to grow. The public at Bayou Corne and Green Bayou continue. The gas comes up in more places than it ever has. They've spent millions of dollars trying to fix what they can't fix. And nothing has gotten better. Nothing. Texas Brian has stood before us during town hall meetings, and they have told us that they are doing everything that the Office of Conservation has instructed them to do. And that is their only concern. Apparently, the Office of Conservation never put anything in its permits requiring Texas Brian to do what is necessary provide timely relief to the people of the community that's affected by this disaster. They never reached out to the community. They never asked us what they could do for us. Until recently, never informed the community of activities that were planned that would affect us. There are many things that were left out of the permit issued to Texas Brian, or things that I think were left out. Immediate financial assistance based on current day cost. An established number of days in evacuation before the buyout process should begin. Shouldn't be as late as it was. It should be no more than 2 months. The buyout would be based on property value prior to the incident, with financial offers to be replacement value. The buyout should consist of replacement value, rental property and reestablishment costs, business costs and establishment losses, moving expenses, utility reconnect fees, attorney fees and expenses, and federal and state taxes. And I'll talk about federal and state taxes a little later. And for those wanting to stay, diminished value, business loss and reestablishment costs, rental loss and reestablishment costs. There should be an established payment schedule in that permit for mental anguish during the evacuation. There shouldn't be something where we have to go to court to argue and fight about. There should be pay schedules for camp owners and land and property owners and rental property. And there should be established tax exemptions, federal and state taxes. You know, one of the worst things that's happened is that Texas Brian started the negotiations, and through that, a lot of the people doing, a lot of our neighbors doing those negotiations didn't realize that most of the money they're going to get is going to be taxed. The federal and the state are going to get their share of the money, but they didn't suffer anything in this whole thing. Not a thing. But they're willing to give tax exemptions to businesses to come into this state, to use our resources and tell us in front of everyone what a good job they've done. You know, I think that as officials, at some point in time, there needs to be some exemptions for the people of this parish. You know, these negotiations with Texas Brian, it just tells us how hard it is to get a fair shake in this world. Because all we see is that their whole thing is, how much money can I make? Can I come into Louisiana and take their natural resources and use them up and never, ever have to worry about the people of that community? You know, we are the ones who live here. You know, the legislature this year passed a couple of laws, and they will help in the future. But there is nothing that helps us today. I think DNR needs to look at their permits. You need to do something. You know, if your only concern is the natural resources, then you need to put something in there that talks about the natural resources that are around the community. The community needs to be addressed in your permits. You need to make sure that the people who get those permits understand that you have to work with the people there, and you have to consider them in what you do. I understand our resources are important, but are we going to put resources ahead of people? Do they mean anything? Do our natural resources have feelings? Or is it the people in the community who are abused and neglected and mistreated? Are we important to you? If you are, stand up and do something. Stand up and face the oil and gas industry. And do something for the people of Louisiana. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. That concludes the requested speakers, and then we'll give the opportunity for the officials here to comment, and I'll start off by saying, Candy, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is not a natural disaster. This is a mining disaster. This is something that was not caused. This is not a hurricane event. And as Nick said, many of you work in industry here. We need industry, we need jobs in this state, but we need responsible jobs, responsible partners. And I can tell you, and I can attest from a local level, that the responsible party in this case has been not the type of party that I would consider a responsible neighboring partner. I have been in meetings with Texas Brian. Our officials, John Boudreaux and his staff, are at that Bayou Corne site daily. They continue. The sheriff provides security for those that have left, for your homes and your property. And they've continued to delay paying your tax dollars and repaying the parish, saying that obviously we don't think it's needed. We may not be legally responsible to pay it. But I see those folks sitting in that
in that office, in that headquarters with monitors on the computer, air monitors, etc. They're not providing that service. We are. We're doing it to try to assist, and then they have the audacity to say, what you're doing is irrelevant. Well, we're going to be there, and we're going to stay there, whether or not they repay us or not. I just think it's that kind of attitude that we've been dealing with. I've been in meetings, and we've been told, and Mr. Boudreaux can attest to it, where they tell us, well, we're doing everything DNR says we need to do. I said, so what? What are you doing? What's your plan to go over and above what you may be regulated or required to do to bring back our environment, save our community, save our environment, to address the needs and concerns of the citizens? I had a conversation recently with higher officials, and I said, your attitude about going on people's property, in front of their homes, down the streets, I said, you have their names, you have their phone numbers. Send representatives to talk to them. Say, look, we'll be working on this street this particular day. Anything we can do for you. You know, you've got to make a concerted effort to be a part of the community as you're trying to remedy the situation. I've got notices as recently as this week. They're in front of people's property.
And won't let you in your driveway.
And then what they tell you is, well, we're on DOTD right-of-way. We understand that, and they may have the legal right to be there.
Not to block my driveway.
But the issue, yes ma'am, and the issue is, why not have enough wherewithal to go speak with the individual? Let them know you'll be in that area. This is the kind of attitude we've been dealing with.
And they tell you to do it.
And it has been constant. So I can tell you, you know, we asked the state's help. Because they will only do what you tell them to do. And if the hammer needs to come down, the hammer needs to come down. Because I can tell you, for what amount Texas Brian pays in taxes in Assumption Parish, we can hold a can shake and raise that in a weekend. We can hold a can shake. So that's what we're telling you as far as we're concerned. We understand there's a bigger picture with the petrochemical industry, but we can hold a can shake and raise the taxes that they assist us with.
Oh, yes.
So the hammer needs to come, and we need to address this, and we need some expediency. So at this time, we're going to open up some additional comment, but we're running a little short on time. I want to get the comments so we can have some of the appointed elected officials, just comments. Not a question and answer session, and we're going to close with prayer. But we want to just give them an opportunity to make sure we recommitted. Bob, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was on the list to...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your name.
Randy Russo, you probably don't know it.
No, I know Randy. Used to date my sister years ago. I know Randy.
First of all, I want to thank you, Marty, for sticking to your guns. You know, you've been with us through this several times. This is not my first rodeo. I'm a veteran of this, unfortunately. I was evacuated in 2003. And a lot of you people, I understand, you want to stay. A lot of people want to go. Most of us want to go. I'm not going to stay. I've been evacuated 4 times in 20 years. My business has been closed twice for extended period of time. They're not getting another shot at me. I understand you want to stay in the community. You want to stay there. But the harsh reality of it, sometimes it's just not worth it. All right? You have to move on. Whether you want to stay in your house and live, okay, what was that noise? What was this noise? What's that smell? What's that smell? Do you want to live like that? I'm not going to. I'm moving on. And they need to provide the means for us to move on.
Amen.
And, I mean, everybody has a different agenda. We're not talking 1,000 people here. They can address each individual's needs. And a year's time should have been long enough to do that. Everybody has individual wants and needs. They need to provide the means for people to do what they need to do to make themselves holy. They've taken 2 Christmases from me. This is going to be the 3rd. I'm sure all you people, come Christmas Day, the last thing on your mind was Bayou Corne. And I guarantee you, everybody that's a resident of Bayou Corne or Grand Bayou, come Christmas Day, when they woke up that morning, go, what's going to happen today? All right? We don't need that anymore. We need to get past that. And they need to provide the means to do that. Time has passed long enough, okay? This is not an episode that no one foresaw. This was evident. It was coming. There was the old people of Grand Bayou knew that this was coming for years. People that have died said, when I might not see it, but before you're gone, Grand Bayou no longer exists. And they were right, okay? It's evident. the subsidence in that area over the salt dome, between where the power station is and on the other side of the Bayou Corne, the subsidence there is evident. I mean, it used to be farmland. There's a mason building that was not built on the water. There's not a mason that can erect a block building on the water, all right? That is sinking fast, all right? You people need to be aware of it. The highway needs to take a priority because there's kids that goes through there every day. And just looking at that film, how those trees didn't fall over, they fell straight down. We have no idea what's going to happen here, okay? Y'all talking about experts, and I've heard the story about the expert before. Well, Dr. Kumar, like Marty said, was the first expert. But one thing he didn't say was, Dr. Kumar also said that we would never have a sinkhole. 3 days later, we did. Okay? That was our first expert. Second of all, we were told time and time again that this has never happened anywhere in the world. How can you have an expert on something that's never happened in the world before? Everybody's doing a guessing game, okay? It's a guessing game. And I don't want people to guess with my life, on my livelihood. My business is done, okay? I've been closed for over a year. I'm 57 years old. I shouldn't have to redo it. But that's just my deal. I can deal with it. I'm a veteran of this deal. I've been in it since 2003, okay? But I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not mad. I just want to move on. And just like everybody else here, people that want to stay, people want to leave. They all want to move on with their lives. There's enough elected officials in here as a collective group that can get this done, okay? As individuals, probably can't. Joe helped me a lot. Joe's been trying for years and years and put his neck on the line for me quite a few times to no resolve. But as a collective group that you have here, y'all can get it done. Now, if you want to get it done, or you don't want to get it done. That's the only question. Again, Marty, thank you. You've done a good job. John, thank you. Keep that film running, son. Because that brought the spotlight to this more than anything. Because seeing a picture of a hole this big and then seeing a picture of a hole this big, not so much. Seeing trees fall down like that, that's reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Rusty. At this time, we have comment from the public or appointed officials that want to make comment at this time. Paul, we'll start with Paul, the Chief of Staff of our Governor Bobby General, then Jay Dalton, our Lieutenant Governor, then we'll call legislators up.
Bayou Corne. Thank you, Sheriff Wagaspack and John Boudreaux, for all you do. And thank you, General Honoré, for getting involved. I appreciate the information that you provide. General Honoré and I go back to Katrina and Rita, and we work together, and the General's been very helpful in bringing forward some of your concerns to us. There's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't talk about Bayou Corne. And in the governor's office, I'm the governor's chief of staff. And there's a day that didn't go by that we don't talk to either Secretary Schutz or Secretary Lamar about Highway 70. There's not a day that didn't go by that we don't talk to DEQ or the Office of Conservation or some of our lawyers about how we hold Texas Brown accountable. I can't stand here and tell you that I have all the answers or that everything's going to be okay. You already know that. You live it every day. But our cabinet members understand the concern, and the governor understands it. And there's not a day that doesn't go by that he doesn't ask us about what we're doing. I know this isn't easy for you, and I mean, just the times that I've been out here, and then obviously listening today, helps us try to figure out a path forward. For those folks that want to leave, the governor called Texas Brown to the table. We met with their president of their company. I called him and said, look, here's the deal. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to come to a meeting with the governor, and don't come if you're not going to offer buyouts. It's as simple as that. Now, is that an easy process? No, it's not. But what we will do on the state side is we'll work with you to make sure that you get a fair shake on the buyout. For folks that want to stay, it's complicated. This is an unprecedented event, and I'm kind of like you, sir. I've been through enough stuff in my life to know that there's no such thing as an expert. There are people that have been through it, and there are people that have experience. The people that have the experience are usually folks that aren't elected. They're usually people like you that live it every day, whether it's a hurricane, a tornado, a flood, whatever it might be. And you're there every day, and I understand that. So we're going to work with our agencies to figure out, the mental health piece. That's a good, you're to be commended for what you've done as a community in putting together a support group for yourselves. And I think there are some things that we can do on our side to help you with that support group and provide you with support.
People that can't afford to meet because
some
Still have
support.
mortgages.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
There are also some things I think we can do through the Louisiana Housing Corporation. This is, like I said, event's not occurred in the United States, and so what we try to do is, listen and then try to build a template on how to respond. So we'll put some stuff together and we'll come back to you. I can't say that we're going to answer all your questions, but I do think, and I do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, because I do understand why you would be impatient, and I do understand why you would not want to see me here. The governor understands it, and we talk about it every day, and he is holding Texas Brian's feet to the fire. Not an easy thing to do, because there are lawyers and there are regulations and there are things that we have to pay attention to. It's just the reality of the world we live in. It doesn't make it easy, and it's not an excuse, but it's just the reality. But again, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And we will go back and talk to the cabinet members, and we will come up with some solutions for those folks that want to stay. Because you do bring up some good points. We have talked about it internally as a team about how do we work with the Parish OEP on response. Highway 70, the Secretary of Transportation Development, Cheryl LaBoss team monitors Highway 70. We need to make sure we've got a plan in place to repair it or to move it. And we've come up with some ideas. But that doesn't, I don't have all the answers today. But you do have our commitment that we'll be here with you, and we will hold Texas Brown accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We have our Lieutenant Governor, Jake Dalton, here with us today. We appreciate him coming and glad to see him here.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks to you and thanks to the local leaders in this parish who have been called upon to have an unexpected responsibility over the course of the past 13 months, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. One of my early introductions to Assumption Parish years ago, and some of you may remember Effie Lill, Pierre Part in that area, worked with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. You're talking about shaking cans, and she could shake cans with the best of them and bake pies with the best of them, and that was an introduction for me to people in this community who understand and appreciate looking out for your neighbors. And that's come through in everything you have said today and the feelings that have been expressed today. I don't control the governor's cabinet, but you've got some very talented people sitting here today who are in these departments in transportation, in DEQ, and natural resources, and what have you, who have responded to what has been an unprecedented catastrophe. And it is a catastrophe. And it's not a natural disaster. It's a man-made disaster. And with that comes responsibility. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, that involves the legal process. And there are lawyers involved representing you, there are lawyers involved representing the state, representing Texas Brine, and that is a process that is going to have to see its way through. And none of us can stand up here today in good faith and tell you we can fix that or we can make that work faster, because when there are legal processes involved, that's gonna happen. And so I can't tell you, I can snap my fingers, or government can snap its fingers and solve problems that are going to have legal remedies. All of you who have been damaged, and you have been damaged greatly, are going to have your opportunity ultimately to have your day in court or to reach a resolution. What I can say to you, though, is that there ought to be ways, and I think there are, to try and make Texas Brine step up to the plate sooner rather than later. To try and government can play a role in that, in trying to encourage Texas Brine, and their representatives are here today to say this needs to be handled quickly and fairly and reasonably in a way that doesn't drag out for 5 years or more in federal court. Because those of you sitting in this room deserve a quicker response and deserve an opportunity to get on with your life because of something that is absolutely no fault of yours whatsoever. And I can't address or fix what has happened in the past regarding the 13-month response. But I can say to you, we can think about what ought to happen in the future. Listening to what you're saying today, and I know natural resources are going to be looking at this. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that there's going to be continued exploration or continued work going on this site until we've identified what can be done to stop the problems that we're facing right now with what is clearly an expanding sinkhole. And that video is alarming and is disturbing and is suggestive potentially of things that could happen in the future. And we all have to be very concerned about that. And I know the people who you're going to hear from next, and I apologize because I'm going to leave after I speak because I got to get back to Baton Rouge for noon, but are going to address what is going to transpire down the line relative to Highway 70, relative to future activity on the site, relative to other responsibilities in various departments, and that's going to take place. But I would say this to you in conclusion. One of the things I heard was the division that exists within the community. And I understand that you're all individuals, and you all have to make personal decisions and responsibilities based upon you and your family. And I do, respect that right. And you ought to respect one another. And everybody's right to make their own individual decisions. Some of you want to stay. Some of you can afford to stay. Some camp owners can afford to sell quickly because they got other places to put a roof over their head. Others of you, this is home. This is where you want to be, and I understand that. We have a great sense of pride in our culture and our history in Louisiana. This is your home. This is the culture you've grown up with. This is the place you want to be. And we all ought to respect the individual decisions that are made by each of you. And we ought to collectively do everything we can to compel Texas Bryan to respond quickly enough to satisfy each of your respective individual needs. But as to the so-called division in the community, we can't fix that. Only you can fix that. Only you, as citizens of Assumption Parish and of these communities, can decide whether or not you're going to work together and you're going to mutually respect the individual decisions that have to be made by everyone. Collectively, you're going to be much stronger than you're going to be individually. And I would just say that to you in closing in terms of how you go forward and how you avoid any attempts to pit neighbor against neighbor or community against community or individuals against individuals. We've always been better than that and bigger than that in Louisiana, and we are the most resilient people in the world, and we certainly have seen that over tragedy, and this is one of them. And the best way we're going to solve this going forward is to recognize that resiliency that we've got to summon with all of us individually, and more important, all of us collectively. So I thank you for coming out today. I spent 15 years in the legislature, and I always found that the most articulate words that were ever spoken didn't come from elected officials sitting on one side of the podium, but came from people on the other side who were speaking candidly and honestly and emotionally about issues that affect them. And we certainly heard that today. And I appreciate all of you stepping up and sharing with us.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate you coming. He has another engagement in Baton Rouge. Thank you for coming. We have our two legislators, Karen St. Germain, and then we'll also hear from Joe on that. Karen.
It's something that, not just because of Bayou Corne, long before Bayou Corne, but daily now, it's something I say to myself in the morning. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Find that courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Guys, women, this has been harder on you all than anything that I have seen in my 24 years of being around this job. And no, I am surely not perfect. But I promise you, and you know, when you call me, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get some information, and we are trying to fix this for future. The people sitting here, most of them I have known all my life, and they know me. The legislation we did is definitely not over. It was the beginning. It was something that was not even in statute, and today it is. We have more discussions to be had. Many of you members were part of the original discussions. That's a promise. I have 2 years left. I have nothing to lose by standing up for you all. I have only your respect and mine to gain. I have no problems with that. Everybody here who doesn't have my phone number, you're not looking on Facebook at all, because it's right there. Sometimes it is harder as elected officials to get in the middle of a group of you all who really want to talk by yourselves. But I ask you, find us to participate. Ask us to participate. We care about you. There's not a day that goes by in my life. If I'm falling asleep and the phone rings, my husband says, it is somebody from Bayou Corne or it's not. That determines at 10:15 if I answer it or not. That's how important you all are. I don't know what's happening unless you tell me. And oh my God, the neighborhood division, yes. Y'all need to fix that. That hurts us who live in your area almost as much as it hurts you. Because it should never be you against you. Y'all do stand together when it counts. And I'm very proud of that. That helps us. It helps all the agencies to listen with one unified voice. The problem where the division is goes back to Texas Brian. Let's not blame anybody else. They have not come together. As Bob said, he's been through it. It was the worst of times for him. He's learned a lot. A lot of people in here have learned a lot. We should not have to have gotten a whole bunch of attorneys. No, we should not have to go through that. That should have been a formula made from the beginning. Whatever your property is worth, is not worth any less because you did or did not get an attorney. Two things we're talking about for the future. First, with the secretaries of the different agencies to work on the pieces of the tax exemption. Mr. Nick, we've already talked about that. We have a committee trying to get together to decide what can happen in this kind of event. For us, but for future. Hopefully, this is the end of that part. But that will be future legislation. And the rules and regs that are being put into place now by DNR, after those are in, then we have promised each other we will work on the legislation along with the governor's office for next session. And Michael, who is my friend forever, when 100% of the legislature votes with you, it's because they want you to shut up and quit talking about it. That's why. It's not because the oil and gas gave in. It's because they know you as a community are right and everybody else is wrong. So I want to leave this with you because I mean this from the day it happened. From the first day that Dennis called me about those bubbles, and we were praying really hard that it was just some pipeline gas leak, just some little thing. Today, we know so different. And so I'm asking you to please, you have a question, you have a doubt. DOTD was Johnny on the spot. As soon as we knew there was an issue on that road, we have to be informed. Call me. Don't wait for me to read it. Please, I ask you, you are surely not bothering me. Thank you, and I love y'all, and we pray for this day forward.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. Karen's a state representative from Bayou Corne and has been there from the get-go, and thank you for your help. Joe Harrison, also state legislator from Assumption Parish. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Marty. I think the hardest thing to do was to sit there and listen to the passion that I heard today from the people that were saying what is going on, because only you know what's going on. And I think, Ms. Blanchard, you pointed it out best in saying it's divide and conquer, because it is. This is a corporate situation where they're turning our own people against each other. And Assumption Parish has always been known as a residential family community. We can't lose that. But we also can't allow a corporation to divide our community. We have to have some teeth in what we're going to do. The legislation went into effect, or going into effect, but has not given us the teeth, as one of our citizens said, to really kind of protect the people. Unfortunately, I'm in a support role here because it isn't my district, but I've been through this and gone through this every day with BP. They're in my district. I have Lafourche, Terrebonne, St. Mary, and Assumption. And I see what BP has done. I see the things that they haven't done. And I see the same passion and things being said here that has been said for the last couple of years with the BP situation. It is dividing our people. It is ruining their lives. And it's taking away what they built their homes for. The biggest thing that they don't, and apparently they don't know, is that they're putting a price on things that they think they can put a price on. They can't put a price on security. They can't put a price on the unknown. They can't put a price on the idea that you live in your home with your children and not having the idea of knowing what's going to happen today, tomorrow, or in the next 10 minutes. So what I'm asking for, we have a BP Claims Committee, which we have pushed them with a lot of things that we can do. I've asked Karen St. Germain in a support role for her and Ricky that we incorporate that. We're about to have a BP Claims Committee coming up and call it BP Claims and the Bayou Corne Claims Committee to research as far as we can go with the congressional delegation to get the mines, corporations, and the U.S. government that oversees the mines to do something in active congressional legislation to stop everything that they're doing until they pay the residents and settle the situation here in Bayou Corne. That's the only way. If you shut down their ability to operate, and I hate to say that because I look for good corporate citizens, but when they pass that rule and they haven't been good corporate citizens, then it's time to treat them as shabbily as they taught or treat the people of Bayou Corne. So I'm hopeful we're able to do that. I'm calling on our corporate people to stand up in Loga, Louisiana Oil and Gas, to put the peer pressure on them. And then I'm calling on our congressional delegation to put something into action and say we're going to put a stop to what you're doing now until you have settled it. Because this may happen again. We hope it doesn't. I was in New Iberia yesterday. We hope that it doesn't. But until you show them that you can't abuse the people's home, because it's our home, and we asked them to come in and they made a living off of it, don't come to our house and say you're going to tell us what to do with our own homes. So until that happens, I think we're not going to get any action. I support Marty and the police jury. I support Karen and our state officials that have done what they had to do. But I'm calling on Congress to do what they have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. We said we're trying to keep it an hour and a half. I know we have our sheriff here, but ex-sheriff to say a couple of words.
Tremendous result there. Our office has been committed from day one to police the area, to provide security. We've had the command post there. We're transitioning to a new phase because guess what? This sinkhole is not getting fixed. This is going to be a long-term mitigation project. It's not going anywhere. In fact, I think we need to prepare for the next one. You know, this dome has been Swiss cheesed with 62 caverns. There are existing permits to start the drilling process in other areas of the dome. So a decision is going to have to be made whether we live there or not. How do we control this? How do we police it? Where do we put the highway? We're committed. Our office can transition from a command post to a substation in that area. If I can work something out with Mr. Dennis Landry, we've got a building we're working on right now to move on site. Because guess what? We're going to be there. We're not going away. We put boots on the ground as far back as June when this bubbling started. We really put boots on the ground August 3rd when the sinkhole developed. And I remember that day as I walk into the sinkhole, talking to the Texas Bond officials and DNR officials, and I looked up to this tank. This tank is real close to the pad. And I took a picture of it. It's on my phone. I'll send it to whomever. I'll put it on Facebook later. The tank says, responsible care.
Yeah.
Responsible care. This is Texas Brian's tank. With the hands up in the air. So, wow. I said, we shall see. Guess what? It is what it is. These corporations have forgot the human element. There's no price you can put on a human life. They've turned your world upside down. They've put you on, aged you, caused health issues. Where is the responsible care? Sometimes you got to stop worrying about return on investment, shareholder return. Is this going to affect our next dividend? Get on your insurer's ass and get our bills paid. Get everybody reimbursed. Make everyone whole. Because we are the ones affected. I'm not worried about you, shareholder. I'm not worried about your cavern or your future caverns. You know, our office has put a lot of dollars at risk. I'm sitting on bills unpaid of $178,000. That's 1/5 of my fund balance. Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm not happy that every time I send a bill, there's a new excuse. There's a new excuse to me. There's a new excuse to you. It's unheard of. The worst PR, no disrespect, Sonny, the worst PR blunder I've ever seen in this area. Give me a break. And I could go on and on, I'm not gonna vent anymore, but I'm telling you, I'm very frustrated, and I'm glad we had this because we all need to recommit. Because I've had some sinkhole fatigue as well as all these other state officials. We're all in sinkhole fatigue mode. We need to step it up a notch and get a little bit more loud and boisterous.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that. We're running out of time. I know Henry Dupree, police juryman from that area, as well as Vice President of Assumption Parish Police Jury, has some comments.
Thanks, Marty. First of all, I'd like to say that last year we had a meeting at the church hall in Fairport. At that time, the observation well was being almost finished. And at that time, I think Carl and I had a conversation about what's going to happen. And I made a comment at that time that it was not the end, but it was a beginning. But that was a mistake to even say that. To have a beginning, we need an end. There's no end in sight right now. So I can't say we're at the stage of a beginning or stage one, square one. We still have a long fight ahead of us. I'm grateful that all our elected officials showed up today to recommit to this incident. But also Carla did ask, what have we done as elected officials to help you all? As a juryman, it's not the kind of fight that we all like. This fight is almost out of our hands. But as a juryman, I would gladly accept an F for what I have done to help you all. I've gone to meetings. I have tried to persuade other officials to assist. What have they done after those conversations or meetings? I can honestly say the meeting or the conversation I had with them went over their heads, and they say, you're just a little guy on a totem pole. We don't have to listen to you. Let's see what our governor has to say. And I'm tired of pushing the buck on to the next guy. As an elected official, I love a fight where I can, Sonny and Willie, if y'all want to go head to head, I'm willing to go head to head with y'all. I love that kind of fight, but this kind of fight where it's just frustrating for all of us. DNR, the state agency has been there. We asked for assistance in June. It didn't come really until after the sinkhole. And people, I apologize if I haven't stepped forward and did everything I could for you all. And I'm recommitting. And I'd love to get to see this thing through and everyone come out as they need or want to be, stay or leave. I just wish for the best for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Last speaker, our district attorney, Ricky Babin, is here, and we thank him for coming, and he wants to say a couple of words, and then we'll finish with prayer. Thank you, Ricky.
I'll be real brief. Let's talk candid a minute. There's two issues here. The first one is this is a monstrosity. This is a forest fire. Whether it started with one match or whether 5,000 people lit the fire, it's a forest fire that's burning out of control. I don't think anybody on the planet, expert, no expert, experts from anywhere can tell us at this point in time the science of how big it's going to get. Is it going to expand beyond those boundaries? Is it going to reach the Red Swamp, the basin? Nobody knows those issues. So I think the damage estimate is not even in. This can go from tens of millions to hundreds of millions to, depending on how far it reaches and how much damage it does, it could be endless. So I think the candid truth of it is, at this point in time, I don't think anybody really has a real accurate measure of how big or how dangerous this can get. The second thing I wanted to mention to you is your personal losses, which are egregious, grievous. Those personal losses, you're doing what the law gives you the right to do, and that is seek that redress. I wanted to mention to you, though, that is a terribly personal decision. I know social media is what it is, and people may sway you to go or to stay. But I will tell you, as somebody who's been in the law for 20 plus years, the law does somewhat of a job to make you whole, but it will never, ever make you whole. But the only thing that will make you whole is if in your heart you do what you think is right. If you think staying, not selling, is in your best interest, social media is great, but that's the decision you have to live with. And at the end of the day, the only people who can make it is you sitting around your dinner table with your families and you making that decision for yourself. What we're doing is generally, We have, we're the legal advisors for the parish government. What we've been generally doing is assisting everybody, including Kat on taxation, Marty on recovery. We've been involved with the Attorney General's office, DEQ, EPA. Basically advised them that if there's any criminal conduct, bring us the investigation. We will prosecute it. That has not been done to date. We have no files on our desk that have been brought to us for any criminal conduct, so we've been advising in a civil context, trying to recover not only the parish's money, but the resources. Finally, I'll close with this. The parish of Assumption, its entire budget, if you donated or gave its entire budget for the next 25 years, it is not going to be able to fix that problem out there by Bayou Corne. It's going to take tremendous resources. In my personal opinion, I think those who cause it should fix it. However, in the interim, what's going to happen in the interim is going to take a large investment from state and federal funds. That's the truth. Y'all know that as well as I do. Parish this size, with its budget, it's just going to be impossible for them to write a check to fix it in the interim until the legal work is done and everybody recovers what the courts say that the sides are entitled to receive. So that's how I see it, ladies and gentlemen, the truth of it. God bless you. I can't imagine what you've been through. Father a while ago said exile, and this is the closest thing I've seen to an exile. So God bless, and anything we can do, please let us know. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Ricky. We appreciate you being here. We said we'd keep it to an hour and a half, and so we're getting ready to close up. I just want to recognize, because I know there's been some questions about federal government, federal intervention. We do have Kathleen Berthelot from Senator Mary Landrieu's office here, as well as Brian McNabb from Congressman Cassidy's office here. Stand up, please. What we want you all to do is take back this message, to the senator, to the congressman, and let them know that if there's anything that can be done on a federal level, financially or resource-wise, and I think we have a representative from Congressman Richmond's office as well, came in after. Thank you very much for being here. We want you to bring the message back that, we need help. These people are fighting at the state level, but we need, if there's anything that can be done and brought to bear as far as resources, we're willing to accept any help we can get. So, we encourage some interaction with the state level officials to see what can be done on a federal level to assist us. That's why we wanted to make sure their officers were invited here today. Thank everybody for coming. We have elected officials from out the parish that are here, that came to be here with you to show support. We have the cabinet here, our DA, our assessor, clerk, Paul Rainwater, the chief of staff, as well as Lieutenant Governor that we came. We appreciate it, but we'd like to go ahead and end with prayer now. Father Paul.
Marty.
Yes.
Do we have a siren alarm system that's in the works for the parish, the community?
Emergency alert. The question is the emergency alert type system.
For the salt dome, yes, we have 2 sirens.
No, for the community of Bayou Corne.
Or Bayou Corne specific.
The siren on the west side does cover the outdoor area of Bayou Corne.
And what do we do if it sounds?
If there is a call-out system, hopefully you have signed up for a notification call-out on our website, and you would receive a call with the siren is blowing for.
Wait for the call before we go in.
I'm sorry?
Wait for the call before we
Yes,
go
because
in.
it may be a shelter in place, depending on what's the condition. Yes.
That plan is still in
It's still in place, yes.
Y'all gonna post it so we know what to do?
It is on our website, yes.
Thank you.
Just a few words. I haven't been a priest very long, but anytime I always encounter people who have gone through extremely stressful and distressful situations, what they always tell me has been, Father, if it wasn't for my prayer, I'd never made it. And so I encourage us all to stand on the rock, who's our Lord, especially in this difficult situation. And
Certainly want to thank Marty for inviting us to begin and close this meeting with prayer. So let us pray. This is from Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall lack. In green pastures let me gaze, to safe waters you lead me. You restore my strength, you guide me along the right path, for the sake of your name. Even when I walk through a dark valley, I fear no harm, for you are at my side. Your rod and your staff give me courage. Lord God, as we come before you this morning, we come with many emotions in our hearts. We're hurt, we're scared, we're angry, we're frustrated, confused, we may feel hopeless. Help us, Lord, to turn to you and to lift up all of these emotions to you. As you walked with your people in the desert, and you lifted them up as a father lifts up his child. As we walk through this desert, do the same for us, Lord. Help us to be united as one in finding a solution, coming to a resurrection through this crucifixion. Lord, we pray for all of the elected officials. We thank you for all those who have showed heroic courage in this difficult situation. We pray for their courage. We pray for their humility. We pray for their prudence and their wisdom to be guided by you in making the decisions they need to make. We pray for each one of the Bayou Corne residents, for those who have stayed, for those who have left. Lord, may they be united in helping and encouraging one another, helping one another to look towards you, to stand on you as their rock. And so we pray together as hearts united. God, grant us the serenity to accept things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.